For many, the experience of faith is defined by a heavy silence. It is the quiet suspicion that, despite our prayers, the divine remains on the other side of a vast, unreachable void. To bridge that perceived gap, we have spent centuries building. We construct massive temples, perform exhaustive rituals, and follow exacting codes of behavior. We treat the divine like a distant monarch who can only be reached through formal, elaborate protocol. When we rely on these systems, the relationship becomes purely transactional. God is no longer an intimate presence. He becomes a judge or a bureaucrat, managing a ledger of our religious performance. Look at how these layers accumulate. Our rituals and rules, intended to bring us closer, actually create the very wall that maintains our separation. This is where we find the bhajan Achyutam Keshavam. Though it sounds like a simple lullaby, it offers a direct challenge to this culture of distance. It doesn't offer a new ritual. Instead, it asks a single piercing question. Kaun kehte hai Bhagwan aate nahi? Who says God doesn't come? The song suggests that the divine is physically present and ready to respond, but that our current methods of seeking him are simply missing the mark. It moves the focus away from what the divine is doing and places it squarely on the failure of our transactional religious habits. To explain why the divine remains silent for some but not others, the song points to the poet-saint Mirabai. You don't call him like Mira. Mira was a Rajput princess who walked away from her crown and her palace. She abandoned the status that society told her was valuable to pursue a singular devotion to Krishna. While the Orthodox world followed rigid scripts, Mira's worship was defined by singing, dancing, and a total lack of inhibition. It was a raw, unfiltered love that ignored the proper ways to pray. That devotion made her fearless. Legend says that when her family tried to kill her with a cup of poison, she drank it willingly, certain that her connection to the divine was more real than the threat of death. Krishna didn't appear because she recited a mantra perfectly. He appeared because she had completely removed her own ego from the equation. The song uses her as evidence that the divine responds to vulnerability and longing, things that a mechanical ritual can never replicate. The song then moves from the act of calling to the act of sharing, answering the common complaint, who says God doesn't eat? It introduces Shabari, an elderly, impoverished forest dweller from the Ramayana. She has no palace and no status. She represents everything the world considers insignificant. When Lord Rama visited her, she offered him wild berries, but to ensure they were sweet, she bit into each one first, offering him only the fruits she had personally tasted. In the world of formal religion, this is a disaster. Offering food that has already been tasted is a total violation of ritual purity. On this scale, the laws of tradition weigh heavily against her. But Rama joyfully consumes the berries. He ignores the rules of purity because he is focused on the intention behind the act. The devotion of a forest dweller outweighs the complexity of the law. This proves that the divine isn't looking for material value or high social standing. He is looking for the quality of the heart, making our worldly metrics of worthiness irrelevant. Finally, the song addresses the most difficult hurdle for any believer, the long wait. He will remember you, eventually. This is the concept of darshan, seeing and being seen by the divine. But darshan cannot be demanded or forced through a schedule. It reminds us that faith is not a trade. You cannot offer a prayer today and expect a miracle tomorrow as part of a business deal. By placing the Princess Mira and the outcast Shabari side by side, the song demonstrates that human labels of wealth and poverty are meaningless to the Supreme. Whether we call that presence Rama or Krishna, it is the same source, simply waiting for our pride and our ego to move out of the way. When the fearless love of Mira meets the pure innocence of Shabari, the walls we built for ourselves simply fall away. The distance we once felt between humanity and the divine permanently vanishes.